Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. I'm Alex Lippic and you join us at the Communify Fincentric Experience. And kindly taking their time out of their day to join me here in the studio today is Randolph Johnson and Sarlota Hohwald of the London Stock Exchange. It's a pleasure to have both of you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for being here. And what a great event to be a part of, don't you think?
Excellent. It's been super innovative and we are learning so much about what's going in the market. And I mean, just that innovation that's happening is amazing. Yeah.
Speaking of innovation, I'm going to come to you first, if I may, Sarlota. How important is financial education for the future, do you think?
Incredibly important, right? I think there's so much going on in the dynamics of the industry and wealth management as a whole. There is a huge influx still of new investors, self-directed investors to be specific, and there's a huge generational push down of wealth that's coming in, right? So you're bringing in many more kind of tech-savvy, younger investors into that mass affluent kind of an emerging area that perhaps don't have the financial acumen that, people who have been investing for 10, 15, 20 years have, right? So they don't really understand how to read balance sheets, cash flows, or look at financial information in a way that active investors would do, right? So it's super important that they get the education that they need to make it a safe trading environment for them if they want to invest their money, right? At the end of the day, into securities or whatever assets they're doing. So I think that traditionally we've seen websites like Investopedia or some of the great education that's out there from Fidelity or TD and some great sites that provide that, but that's more what's a PE ratio, what's how does a active versus passive ETF work, right? What they're really, AI is going to change the game there, because what it's going to do is it's going to say, I know who you are. I'm going to give you some insights that are important to you. You told me perhaps what your tolerance is around securities, or what you like investing in, what you don't want to invest in for sustainability reasons or ESG, etc. Right? And it's going to change that game because it's going to give them that hyper-personalized kind of view into what they should know and then help them through that journey. And we've seen some great tools here already yesterday at the conference, right, that are really helping people understand what's that journey that I need to go through to get to that decision process.
Really fascinating insight. I saw you nodding away there, Randolph. Would you concur with that as well? Would you?
I would. I think as you look at the self-directed market, there is the education element from an investor standpoint, but I think a lot of the new generation is very familiar with kind of the user interface, and they have some of that skill set. So it is really about better understanding the financials and the bedrock things that you would normally have an advisor for. Yeah. But AI will change that game, and I think that kind of 360 personalization that everybody's been kind of striving for in wealth management is a real tipping point now that we have AI that's going to be able to help really kind of, as you said, customize it to what your investment interests are, to what your risk tolerances are. And I think having that, there are still elements of the self-directed that remain open. There's the tax element and there's the real estate side of it that I don't think there's immediate solutions for. But I really think when it comes to just the new investors in the market, there is a phenomenal growth opportunity with the self-regulated. It's been very popular abroad, and I think it'll continue to grow here in the States.
You both mentioned self-directed investors. You've almost sort of answered my next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because you might be able to elaborate. How do self-directed investors make sure that they don't lose out on that guidance that would ordinarily be provided by the advisor? And I'm going to ask you that, if that's okay, Randolph.
Yeah, and so today there's so many investor tools that you have when you're on site. So whether it is looking at Wall Street research, whether there's a variety of tools that are right there that kind of help close that gap for the self-directed. But as I said, I think it's really that AI capability now that will change that. And AI, I think it will change it for the advisor as well, and being able to direct them and make their time more efficient. But in lieu of not having one, you're going to have a machine that's giving you some advice and doing some of those things. So like I said, not so much in some of the other areas or your life advice that they would help you with. But when it comes to the pure investing, equities market, it really will be like having an advisor, walking you through everything.
Yeah, and we've seen some research recently that sort of says that investors in general will always trust AI to give guidance around stock picking or, research on the underlying securities, et cetera, right? So they believe that that can be taken over by the AI, but they don't believe, I think 40% of them, less than 40%, actually believe that it can replace really fully blown kind of rebalancing, modeling, looking at tax optimization, et cetera, right? So you still need the human in the loop. You still need the expert to come in and give you that tax optimization support. And, as you go through your life and your kids grow up or you're buying a new home and things like that, I think people are still going to want that human, that advisory element in the loop of wealth management. Yeah.
It's really interesting. So even with all the advancements with AI technology, there's still that need for personal touch.
Trust.
Yeah. The trust element. Yeah.
No, and I think they say with high net worth it really matters because, say someone wants to buy a Bentley, they still kind of want to go in and shake somebody's hand. Right. I mean, they could go on the internet and buy it, but they still kind of want to shake hands. Same thing, big life events, big decisions you're making with your finances, you're going to want to have that advisor there kind of, nodding their head saying, yep, it's a great time, great choice.
Human being.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of self-directed advisors, we keep that kind of theme going, or self-directed investors, I should say. Decision making is key, right? As a self-directed investor.
Yeah.
Those people that maybe are less decisive, let's say, how easy is it going to be for them to learn that key skill? So it is a key skill when it comes to self-directed investment. That's kind of open to the floor. So.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's actually about trust. So they're going to have to trust what's in front of them, right? That's a big key element, and it's hard as humans to trust everything you're seeing. But especially the newer generations, they're used to kind of that technical digital experience. They're used to trusting what's in front of them. So actually, I think what's important is that the providers, the vendors of these applications and the self-directed applications that they're using, they make sure that the data underneath is a trusted source, right? That you actually can trust the output that's coming out. So when you're looking at insights or it's telling you predictability, information, or why something happened, you can trust what's there because the power behind it, the data behind it, is accurate, right? So they're going to kind of have to learn that along the way and then utilize all the tools in front of them. There's a huge amount of tools, research reports, street analysis. They can still get the pro-grade perspectives through the data, and then there's trust element there as well.
No, and being from the London Stock Exchange Group, having data you can trust is critical.
Absolutely.
But I will say, even yesterday at the conference, they had some great innovative approaches towards this, and the concept of the share button. I think in the self-directed space, if you need a little confidence to make a decision, if all of a sudden you see some of your closest friends are following these stocks and investing in them, that's the type of thing that might actually help you make a faster decision.
Yeah, social wisdom.
Social wisdom. I think we all need that. Great point to end on. It's been a fascinating conversation. I've certainly been educated. I want to thank you both so much for giving up your time to speak with us today, Randolph and Sarlota. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you both.